I interviewed for an account executive role at Revolut, which is a sales position, but here's something that most people don't realize. The structure of the interview process is almost identical for every role at Revolut. Whether it be for sales, product, operations, or tech, it's the same journey. Only the skills and technical test changes according to your domain. And I know this because I didn't just go through this process once, but I've actually gotten rejected my first time, and I've spoken to countless other job seekers from different domains landing jobs at Revolut, and I eventually got my second opportunity for an account executive role, and I actually made it to the final round and successfully landed my offer. I'm going to walk you guys through in this video every little part that I did to successfully land the offer and the parts that most people skip. So a little bit of backstory: when I got rejected on my first attempt on the 4th round, I basically wasn't prepared enough. And this was purely because I thought to myself, I live and breathe sales. I had that overconfidence in me, thinking that I already do this on the daily, so I can just wing it, get onto the call, show them my entire sales process, and I can be done with it and I'll be successful. But that wasn't the case. It kind of quickly turned into a downward spiral of me showing them how I was incompetent and how I was not confident enough in my sales process, because I was just scouring through the internet trying to find information that would be relevant to prospects, relevant to the company sizes they would be looking for, the ideal customer profile. I wasn't able to nail down the sales qualified leads because I just didn't have enough information about Revolut. Now, although I understand it was completely my fault for not being prepared enough, I did do something that was a little different, which was I always ask before an interview, or I always email the recruiters asking them to understand how should I be prepared. And in this particular round, they mentioned to me that I wasn't supposed to be pre-planned or pre-prepared with anything, because that would spoil the nature of the activity. It's supposed to be an open discussion, or basically showcasing my screen, like sharing my screen and showcasing exactly what steps I would do in the sales process. And I'd walk them through the steps, and then I'd also have like a sales conversation on how I'd actually cold call a prospect. I can't really have anything prepared completely, but I quickly realized that even if you're not prepared, it's fine, but you'd have to at least rehearse what you're going to do on the call, because it kind of pins down exactly what steps you're going to follow, or maybe even have like a sticky note with the steps written down so that you have it on the screen, stuck up on the side somewhere where you're going to take these steps. This is how you're going to be going ahead to prospect, or whatever it is that the skills assessment that you have to do. If you have to showcase somebody something, please rehearse it before you get in. In hindsight, I really think, even though recruiters might tell you, hey, you don't have to be prepared for this round, just bring yourself in, bring your energy and so on, that's enough, you'll still have to at least rehearse or be very confident in what you're going to do on the screen or in the interview. You yourself are confident with what you're going to do and the steps you're going to do or take, and that will help you do things better in a more seamless approach, instead of just randomly going through all the details and then trying to find the information online. What generally happens is, because you're sharing your screen, you're going to open a can of worms of every little bits and pieces which you don't know. As people, we generally don't know everything. The stuff that we don't know, we normally try to Google or ChatGPT it, and we can't be doing that during an interview. Being rejected in the skills round really brought my confidence level down. I started questioning myself into thinking, hey, is my process wrong, or am I just not good enough for a company like Revolut? And it does become hard, because when you start seeing those rejection emails, but when I saw this rejection email and it came from the recruiter, I wanted to really ask for some feedback. And I did connect with the recruiter on LinkedIn, and I stayed in connection with the recruiter from time to time, just asking them, hey, are any new roles opening up? And what do you know? I got an email one day, I think it was 6 to 8 months later, asking me to apply for a role that was in the UK. And I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked. I didn't know if it was true. I didn't know if this was something that had happened because I had applied to several other roles. And I replied asking them, when we could connect and get on a call, and they sent me a meeting invite, or I was allowed to book a time and actually have a quick coffee chat just before all the interviews started. And it was an informal call, but I still went in prepared, knowing about Revolut, their business, and the recent investment rounds, whatever had happened, the recent news that had come about Revolut. And so I spoke about all that, and I also showed them my motivation to apply for this role. And this kind of progressed into all my other interviews. And this time I was 10x prepared than last time. And I made sure whatever it was, I wasn't going to fail the skills interview. Now, to simplify this entire process, what I did is to create an interview master document. So after my first rejection and in between that time, I was working on obviously supporting a lot of you job seekers out there. And during that time period, I also created this interview master document, which was essentially a step-by-step outline on how to prepare for each stage. And this document really helped me as well for my my second attempt at the Revolut interview. And really, like, I'll walk you guys through this right now, and this will really show you how each stage has a set of answers that you need to prepare for, but also making sure that you're prepared in a way that the interviewer wants you to be prepared. Before going into each stage, I would ask the recruiter about who's coming on that interview, what type of interview that is, and how I should be prepared. So these are 3 questions I would ask them over an email, and if they have any material to provide. Initially, when I asked them that, they gave me a full interview template or questions they would ask, what frameworks like STAR method that they would like to use for the interview answers. And then also gave me a full candidate pack about the company and how the working culture is. And this kind of helped me in paving the pathway into creating this document as well, but also me understanding what exactly they wanted in the interview before the interviewer came in. I was able to connect with the interviewer prior to going into the interview on LinkedIn. So they had access to my LinkedIn profile as well. And I was also able to network with a lot more people or employees within the organization. And this kind of gave me a tunnel vision on how to actually be as prepared as can be, but also just understanding how Revolut works, the vocabulary they use, the type of conversations they have, and seeing employees post and recent news and people just posting on LinkedIn about them. Internally, I started trying to just think of myself as somebody on the inside, and that allowed me to really be envisioning myself as an employee or as somebody who's already inside, progressing and going up the ladder, maybe just like someone who was looking for a promotion, rather than somebody who was sitting down trying to evaluate themselves and trying to question themselves whether I should join this company or not. So it took away all the doubt, and it really showed to them that I was confident and I was somebody who was going to bring in my experience and showcase that I could do the job. Okay, so let's head right in, and I'm going to show you now how exactly this interview master document works. Your interview basically starts even with the simplest of questions, whether it be how are you or tell me about yourself. These are simple questions that you could really create an impact for yourself. Obviously, in the interview master document, that's exactly what I start off with. So the opening 30 seconds is basically you answering you answering and crafting a 2 to 3 line response for the question, how are you? The first call is actually an informal call, and in an informal call, they normally let you ask all the questions about the interview process and how the interview works, and also maybe even trying to understand the role in detail. You're allowed to ask those questions, but even in an informal call, you need to understand that these informal calls are really considered even for culture fit. Whether you're just looking to know about the company or try to understand about the company, it's also important to show your motivation and basically what you're feeling in terms of how you're feeling about the entire process, and show that you're someone who's a go-getter, someone who's positive, someone who's full of energy. And even if you're not, try to bring in your natural self to the interview. And obviously when you're applying to a role, you are confident that you want to get it. And if you're not really confident or motivated enough to apply for that company, and then why are you there? When I talk about the first 30 seconds, I focus mainly on setting the tone for the entire interview, because when you go into an interview and they, let's say the recruiter asks you, how are you? And then you're just like, I'm good, thanks. Now, that's not a really memorable answer, or it's not an opening answer where it allows the recruiter to understand who you are and shows your personality. So what you want to be doing in the first 30 seconds is not to use an autopiloted answer like I'm good, or something that's forgettable. You want to make sure that your first 30 seconds opens up the opportunity for recruiters to understand you as a person. So humanize yourself, but at the same time also create a genuine connection. Now, interviews can form an impression very quickly based on your the way you answer, your facial expressions. For you to make yourself memorable and not just sound like everyone else out there, try to actually open up and show some excitement or momentum or real authenticity. Use either one of those and really focus on like a templated answer. Now, what I would do personally is practice and rehearse this prior, because this is a small, quick one-liner, two-liner. Craft like 2 to 3 three-liner response, but prepare it and rehearse it so that you're not making it on the spot. Try to bring in your aspects of what your specific skill set is and what your recent professional accomplishment is. Bring out yourself in this 1 to 2 line or 2 to 3 line, however you want it, but make it impactful, because you want to create that sense of approach that recruiters genuinely want to know you, or they should get to know you. So if you want them to open up to you and really ask the right questions to take the interview in a direction where they're taking you to the next level, you definitely want to show them that you're open to that as well. Now, the second round was a screening call. Now, in this round, I researched about Revolut's business inside out. Now, I looked into their products, their plans, their core values, and this kind of helped me nail it. Now, in the section 2 on the interview master doc, I talk about the core interview questions. Now, why these questions matter is because I focused on who you are professionally. So I prepared for who I am professionally. Why did I choose Revolut, and why did I choose this role specifically? And what's my ambition in terms of aligning with what they have to offer in terms of their products, their services. And also I try to nail down a few things of how I intertwine my skill set into the goals of the organization. So this kind of helped me stand apart from everyone else. Now, if you look at the first question that they'll probably ask you when it comes to the core interview questions is tell me about yourself. Now, I like to say the tell me about yourself is if you had to look at yourself as a product, I would create an elevator pitch for myself. So that's the salesperson inside me talking. I focus on a structure. So I'd start off with maybe my biggest achievement. So my biggest achievement would be like a hook. And once I hook them, then I'd talk about my past, my present, and future. Now, this would be 2 to 3 minutes max. And if you look at why the structure, you can understand it kind of shows who you are and your credibility, how you got to where you are, and also demonstrates your current value and relevance towards the role that you applied to. And then shows or talks about your future, which is your ambitions and alignment with that role. It comprises of a lot of things, but it's short, so recruiters can then wander around and be like, oh wow, I really want to know who you are. Yeah, that's what's running inside their head. So because they're always judging you based on your answers, and they're always profiling you. When recruiters are always profiling you, the stuff that you say, everything that you say, and they're noting down or taking notes, is stuff that they're going to be talking to their hiring manager and also the country head. I will leave the link to the document in the description below, because the document does have a lot of templates, and it's just like a plug and play answer model. Take it and use whatever you want to use, and choose what you want to use, and obviously disregard the stuff that you feel like is not required. And if you've already had a different way of answering it, go ahead with that. This is a framework that I used, which was successful, so I'm sharing it with you guys. but this is not the only way to do an interview. There are multiple ways, multiple different ways, but understand that I've structured it in such a way that you're covering all your bases. If you have done parts of it in a different way, it's completely fine. As long as you have a structured output or a process of how you're preparing for an interview, it will genuinely help you in succeeding in the interview when you're speaking to them. Now, question number 2 is why this company? They're trying to understand if you've done the research, you understand the business, and you genuinely have interest to apply for this company. Now, personally, what example I gave was I told them I had tested Revolut's app and I was a paying user for about like a year or two. I understood the updates they gave and I understood how customer friendly they were, and I understood all that. Like, those were pointers that I spoke about and showed them motivation to join the organization, but also showed them how I've been an advocate for Revolut and been a salesperson for Revolut without even being an employee. I had I was on the referral program. I referred it to a couple of friends and I told them and I spoke to them about my entire experience of how it's been helping and how I've been benefiting as well. This kind of already gave them like a proof or a validation as to there's an advocate of Revolut interviewing with us, and why not progress and continue this conversation. So obviously this was an easy way for me to show them that I was really interested and I had a genuine interest towards Revolut. I spoke about the mission, the values, the alignment as to my skill set aligning with the company's goals and vision, and also just my recent achievements in terms of like my topmost achievement, whether it be a big sale that I made, my biggest achievement in my career, or my biggest challenge that I faced, but that was going to help me approach this role much better because I was able to learn that culture, that mindset, because Revolut has a team bonding mindset, which is basically they want you to also be a learner, a quick learner, and also be somebody who is able to adapt to fast-paced changes. So and that's like any startup for that matter. And then we'll move on to question number 3, which was why this role. This question is trying to understand what's your strategic reason to actually apply for this role. This is not just any job that you're applying to. So if you can demonstrate that I'm not just applying because this was an open role, or I'm not just applying because I'm getting kicked out of my old job, and if you can really show that you thoroughly enjoy or you want this particular role, because most sales roles, they'll ask you a quick question of like, why do you want to get into sales? Why not anything else? And immediately you've got to kind of navigate your chances of showing them how you've been good at sales, but at the same time you're a people person, but showing them that this is a move that is about more about learning and it's a strategic move. Show them how you can talk about like 3 to 4 key requirements and map them to your skills and interest. And just show them why your skills like align with the organization's value. That's how I'd like to do it, and that's how I did it. So talk about the skills alignment, growth opportunity, and impact, and the potential for growth as well, because that leads you into the next question. What's your next 5 to 10 year plan, or what's your future plan? Now that allows them to then go in to ask you, are you someone who's ambitious? Are you someone who is just wanting to just get a job, lay low, or are you looking for growth? Because a startup like Revolut, which is growing really fast, wants somebody who can really grow fast as well with it internally. Focus on your skills, your developments, your skills developments, which you've done over the years, and also how your ambitions align, like your future ambitions and goals align with the company's trajectory of growth. I normally like to talk about recent news I've heard about the company, or recent funding rounds, or recent investments, or whatever it is. I like to speak about that during this time and try to show them that, hey, I'm making this career move because I want to professionally move into an organization which I can be stable, or I want to grow in, and allow them to also understand that I'm willing to work with a company that's growing. So the best way to answer question number 4 would be to talk about your skills and expertise, your leadership and scope for improvement, and then your long-term vision. So again, the formats are going to help you in aligning the answer, and obviously put in, based on your domain, put in the important information that's required and show that you want to, obviously with AI coming in and so on, show them that you are somebody who like to evolve with the changes with tech and so on and so forth. Now, the third round was culture fit. Now, in the culture fit, I remember asking them how to prepare. They obviously sent me tips of using the STAR method and showing how my targets worked and how I achieved my targets, and also to just bring in my energy. I really focused on a lot of what I spoke about in the in section number 3, which is I built around 5 to 10, or I think around 15 STAR plus RCAR stories. Now, with the STAR and RCAR stories, I kind of showed them my results and my impact that I've been able to bring into my previous organizations. And that helped me really build the conversation in the interview. Now, it's going to be all behavioral and trying to find if you fit, if you are somebody who has done well in the previous organizations. So obviously they're going to try to understand what's your understanding of the role, and also how well you'll be able to perform. The STAR is a really good way in places wherever you worked with teams. It really allows you to showcase the skill sets that you've learned, but also the results that you've obtained. It allows you to showcase that. But now the RCAR really focuses mainly on individual performance, or maybe even times when you have failed. RCAR is basically result, challenge, action, reflection. Places where you have a really good result, like you got a good result, but you had failures in between and you turned that failure into success. So you could actually talk about how you got to this result, and then talk about the challenge and action and what made you get to that level. How did you achieve or reflect upon your journey, and how did you actually achieve that high after failing? So it allows you to have these two types of frameworks, not just a monotonous STAR method, because yes, STAR method works, but this allows you to talk about a lot of your reflections as well. Now, when you're talking about your reflections, it's good not to wander off in your own thoughts. Like, that's why we use stuff like STAR and RCAR, because it allows you to stay on track, but also keep your answers to a very short and crisp answer. In this particular section, you definitely want to make sure that you've done the company mission statement, like research on them, company's value and culture, recent news and announcements, like maybe on LinkedIn or news articles, or go ahead and look at websites like TechCrunch, recent LinkedIn posts from employees, and also look at all their products and services overview. What I like to also do further is to find out the recruiter or the hiring manager's LinkedIn profiles and check their posts out, check if there's what's the team structure like, who's reporting to who and so on. And then also try to see what are the recent achievement and projects and milestones they've actually received or they've achieved during the past 6 months to 1 year. I focus on researching about the role, like trying to talk to maybe people in the same role that I'm going to apply to, and then look at all the vocabulary they're using, check for the top 5 to 7 skills that they focus on. This will allow you to align yourself with the particular job that you're applying for. Now, in your STAR stories, I've also shown you how to actually map your stories. So align something with leadership and initiative, align something with problem solving and analytical skills, and something with teamwork or collaboration, handling pressure, conflict resolution, innovation and customer focus, adaptability, communication, and achievement or result. Most times what we'll try to do is we'll try to talk about a lot of our achievements, but we'll not nail down how that achievement results to, let's say, leadership skills or communication skills or teamwork skills. Those are obviously soft skills, but it allows the interviewer and the recruiter to understand that you're not just somebody who is good at one thing or two things, but someone who's all round. And a good example for that would be when you're trying to explain something and when you're trying to say, hey, I'm good at working with teams. I'm not just talking about all my successes, because they might ask you the same question and you might refer to the same problem or situation, but you can say that same situation in multiple different ways. Have these pointers all nailed out. But in case if they were to talk about like handling pressure, but you wanted to talk about your biggest leadership initiative, you can also just kind of mix and match, and you can talk about the same situation in a different light. But because you've aligned yourself and you've also thought about all these different types of stars and how you can align it, you will be better prepared to actually talk about that in the interview and nail that answer. Now, the fourth round, you can't really prepare a lot in advance, but what you can do is rehearse what you're going to do. So if you're going to do a live test, or if it's a technical, like it's going to be a coding assessment, or if it's going to be a coding round where you're going to share your screen and code, what you want to ideally do is go through everything in advance and rehearse your entire process. Or like for example, for myself, the sales call, I genuinely tried to rehearse and make sure like I had like my sales pitch written down. I had a couple of bullet points of what steps I should do. So after I get onto LinkedIn, what steps will I do? How will I use Sales Navigator? What companies am I going to focus on? What size of the company? How will I find the size of the company? So at least have the tools already, like Apollo, SimilarWeb, and I used, I think, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and like websites like TechCrunch and news articles about just researched about like recent companies that have gotten recent funding rounds and are ready to spend for tools like or business solutions like Revolut, and try to kind of create that ideal customer profile. And had a rehearsal round by myself, like which I try to conduct myself in like 10 minutes. And by doing that, I was better prepared, and I was like definitely 100x prepared more than last time, because I wasn't going to fail this particular round. Now, the fifth and final round was the country manager round. Now, in the country manager round, they basically ask about your sales background, your KPIs, which is your targets. Are you aligned to work with a fast-paced environment? So the country manager basically wanted to know if I can achieve the numbers that they have, or like sales targets that they have. So I brought like real stories in this and showed them like that I could achieve it because I've done it in the past, and talked about my biggest achievements and how I achieved it with persistence, and how did I work with a team. It's not just about them asking you questions in the country manager round. When you end off, you really need to end off with impactful questions that you ask them as well. Closing the interview strong is as important as how you open the interview. Now, the last 5 to 10 minutes is really crucial because it shows you that you're a strategic thinker and you genuinely are interested and you are professional in your approach. Don't just prepare about because you've already done a lot of prep work in terms of understanding about the company and their value and so on and so forth, and done a lot of research about the company. But what you want to do here is to not just ask weak closing questions like, what's the culture like, or what's the salary going to be, or how do I grow in the organization. Rather, ask leading questions that they'll be able to understand your motivation for the role, but also understand that you are somebody who really are you care about professional growth. You care about the company's growth. You ask role-specific questions, which is based on success. So for example, what would success look like in this role in maybe the first 3 months, 6 months? Or put them on the spot and ask them a question like, if you were to look back, at me as a good hire, what would those pointers be? So try to understand from them what would success look like. Show interest in terms of trying to understand what team dynamics, try to understand how do you guys work in a team or collaborative way, and can you tell me more about the team I'd be working with? Or this is basically showing them that you already envision and you've already put yourself in their shoes as an employee, and you're already talking from a perspective where you're showing them that I'm already in this role. So talk like you already have this job. In the master document, I've gone ahead and kind of given you 7 different options of like team dynamics or a role specific question, challenges that you face, personal insights, and what would be the next steps and so on. So don't just ask them blank questions. So use questions that I've put up, or even the templates that I've put up, so that allows you to sound like somebody who's genuinely interested, but is also thought about this strategically. Because remember this, the first thing they will remember when they evaluate you against all the other 50 candidates or 100 candidates or 200 candidates is your last impact. So the last things you say will be the first things they remember before evaluating you. So create that lasting impact before you close off the meeting. Now, finally, I have a pre-interview checklist, which I've created, which is basically a 24-hour checklist, 1-hour checklist, and right before, so that you have a clear understanding. And post-interview, I've also created within the 24 hours, what I did personally was to summarize all the pointers that we spoke about in the interview so they don't forget and they don't forget me. And to create that impact, I created an impact presentation with all my key strengths aligning with the company's goals and vision, and also a thank you email for, which I've also given you a thank you email template. So use a thank you email template and the impact presentation together and send that email. That will really heighten your chances of getting that offer in. And like I said, I got that offer in fairly quickly. So it took me, I think, 2 weeks to complete all these rounds. And after I completed the 2 weeks of the full, all the assessment, everything to be completed, I think it was on the 14th day that I then received this email, which was a success email asking for the share code and all the next steps. And that was that was the next steps to onboard. And obviously I didn't take up the offer because I help you job seekers to actually go ahead and support you guys. So if you need any personalized support or any additional support more than what you've got right now, please contact me, and I'm leaving my contact information on the screen. So you can message me, email me, or WhatsApp me, or even connect with me on Instagram, and let's talk and let's really help you nail this dream job of yours. So I hope you found this useful. Please share this video with anybody looking for jobs, or your friends or your family members, and subscribe to this channel for more updates on job search tips that actually work. Peace.